Well, it looks like reporters are giving their take on wide receiver 3 and one of the weakest positions for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's just say that, because we need to get this right this year and who they think is going to start or get a shot or at least start in the regular season. I want to give my opinion on this specific player and why it doesn't make sense. And I want to talk about the Bleacher Report rumors of Jamal Adams coming to the Philadelphia Eagles. Does it make any sense? We'll find out. And Jason Kelce news that I think is interesting that we will talk at the end of the video. So you guys sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it.
We better turn. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know anywhere that wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Hope you're enjoying your work week. I hope everyone's relaxing and just, we're at a slow point right now where we have to talk about things that, some reports are coming out on, obviously, a lot of speculation. But when you take things from certain reporters, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you got to say to yourself, does this make any sense? Now, what we're talking about here is the wide receiver 3 position. And unfortunately, it really hasn't been a big success. The last few years, I think the last really good wide receiver 3 that we had that maybe wasn't as productive with his first 3 years, at least his third year it was Nelson Agholor, where when you had good coaching to your offense, it really did help out. And, we haven't really been successful. I can't count Quez Watkins as being a success because when it comes to the big moments, I don't think he has been there, and he's been injured. And you brought Olamide Zaccheaus in, and I felt like Olamide Zaccheaus didn't really get a chance. I feel like they never gave him too much opportunity and didn't really utilize that position. But with Kellen Moore in the building right now, that position is going to be utilized. That's why I like Kellen Moore. Nothing is going to be wasted. He will use everything he possibly can because of his matchups on defense, what's going to work for the Eagles, the pre-snap motion with these receivers, and some of the matchups, like I said, they could get as a pure weakness of what they find in certain defenses will definitely help. Now, Rube from NBC Philadelphia had some things to say about who he thinks might get a shot here, might start, so we'll see. He says, there are some interesting options, and I'd expect Devonte Parker to get a first crack at it, but I also think there's a fair chance that the guy who ultimately ends up as the Eagles' third receiver is someone who isn't on the roster yet. That's interesting. Okay. Now, Devonte Parker, of course, he's the 31-year-old veteran. I mean, the Patriots literally, paid out his contract just to get rid of him. I mean, they literally paid out. We only paid, $1.2 million of it, and they paid the $5 or $6 million that was left or whatever it was, okay? Devonte Parker was the first receiver signed in free agency, okay? We weren't expecting a big signing at receiver, but at least maybe if they made a trade, maybe they, we're going to see what was going to happen here. Devonte Parker, he's a speedster, probably has some legs on him still, but as a backup, he's got to stay healthy. It's been one of the most biggest things in his career as a receiver. The guy has just been hurt a lot, and he's old. So I don't want players that we could produce at wide receiver to take a back seat just because the Eagles are playing favorites for Devonte Parker. And I don't think that's the case. With Devonte Parker, you have an insurance policy. If somebody goes down, he can come right in and do his thing. Okay, even getting Paris Campbell, I think, is a better option, a little bit younger, obviously. Hasn't really played well the last couple years. 2 seasons ago with the Colts, he was with the Giants last year. Obviously, who produces with the Giants anyway? With the Colts, he had over 600 yards. But Paris Campbell is a pure slot type guy. I think Devonte Parker, you can line up inside and outside because now you'll have a guy that can play both positions. I think X, Y, and Z. If you need him at some place, he could be there. You know what I mean? So Paris Campbell as your number 4, I think works out pretty good with the Eagles, depending on how many they are keeping. You have to talk, obviously you have other guys like Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson, I think, is going to be interesting as well. I don't think he'll be winning the job as well. I think Johnny Wilson could be that red zone type receiver that they might use on short yardage and stuff like that, and maybe take advantage of his size on certain matchups or, his blocking and something like that as a bigger body being in there. So I think think that's going to be really interesting. I think Johnny Wilson can end up being a good receiver probably within another year. But, we still have training camp, so we never know what's going to happen here. But I think the person that's going to win this job ultimately, I think it's going to be Ainias Smith. I've talked about this a million times. I mean, he is the open field killer for a reason, okay? He catches some tough catches, okay? He is not, like I said, not only tough, but I mean, he catches in traffic really well. Not afraid to take the hit. He's got some speed. He's got some elusive speed to him, which is fantastic. He's great in open field after the catch. Like I said, I think it's his best trait, his best attribute. Kellen Moore getting these guys open, and please, God, intermediate passes. Please use the middle of the field, and I know he's going to do it. I mean, it's going to be amazing. 5'9", 190 pounds. I think he's a perfect size. I think he's just there. But unfortunately, he was dealing with a little nagging injury from last season, so he didn't play any of rookie camp. He didn't do nothing in rookie camp, but he will be prepared to start in training camp. I really need Ainias Smith to stay healthy because ultimately, I think this kid is going to do really well. I think you actually have a powerhouse talent at the position at wide receiver 3. So I'm very excited about it. Like I said, I think you're going to get a lot of, obviously with Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown, we know what they bring to the table. I think we'll have both of them could end up having their third 1,000-yard seasons together once more. But it could change if Ainias Smith is becoming, one of the most underrated receivers in the league, that because of all the attention you're getting around with all these other weapons, especially the backfield and these other wide receivers and tight ends taking, more opportunity on attention, I think he's going to pan out really well. I'm very excited to see what he's going to bring to the table, and how they use him, and see what Kellen Moore is going to do. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at it, Ainias Smith, I think athletically, size-wise, toughness-wise, and can catch in traffic and can do everything you want him to do. I think as, tracking the football, and he's got great movement after the catch. He's swift on that one movement upfield. He's just great. And packs a punch too, a little bit of physicality when he gets through guys as well. So he definitely, I think, is the best fit for that position. And, we'll see what happens. Like I said, camp's going to be interesting, but this is going to be the first year in a while where we're going to have an actual talent at wide receiver 3 that we can really depend on going forward. And I think that's ultimately the best decision they are probably going to make. If A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith are playing very well, man, just imagine if we had Quez Watkins that was more healthy and we could really pan out with him in big moments, and he panned out that way. Or, giving other guys an opportunity that, they just never gave opportunity towards. You didn't draft Ainias Smith really high, but this is a red star player the Eagles had on their board, and they feel really good about him. So I'm expecting big things from Ainias Smith going forward, and hopefully we see more in the future. So let me know what you guys think about wide receiver 3 and what makes more sense going forward there. Now, Bleacher Report put out some news. It's been kind of swirling. I don't think it's really third party, but it's just been like an idea from Bleacher Report, or maybe it's more than that, of Jamal Adams coming to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because, I don't know the statistics. I have them right here. Because I really wanted to take a look at what he did last year. I think he only played in 9 games last year. He's 28 years old. He's a linebacker / safety hybrid type guy. I would love to add the linebacker, but with him, the guy cannot stay healthy. And to be honest with you, I'm just not really into it. This doesn't scream like it's really making our team better. I just think it's dead weight at this point. And if he plays for half the season and he gets hurt, then you have to throw in somewhere else. So, depending on how the Eagles really look at him. So last year, right, 48 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits, 122.1 passer rating. He was PFF's 95th highest graded safety out of a total of 104 with a minimum of 250 snaps. So, can't say much about that. But safety, look. Safety's a tough one for me going into the offseason now. Since the Eagles didn't really hit on, and this is if Cooper DeJean doesn't end up being a safety. Let's just say, okay, let's just make it something up right now and say he's not going to play safety. Just say DeJean actually plays nickel full time or something like that, right? And the Eagles really want a safety. And honestly, Jamal Adams, no, that's not happening. Okay, and then you look at the contracts, like Antoine Winfield got that big monster deal, which I was like, wow. I was like, holy crap. So you're figuring out like, man, Justin Simmons is still out there. We've been talking about him, but, connections to Fangio. But man, he might be, I think he's sitting back waiting to get paid. I mean, he's not getting, at 31 years old, he ain't getting no money like that right now. That's definitely not happening. It's definitely going to be short term. But Justin Simmons still an intriguing option going forward. So who would I rather have right now? Really Justin Simmons on a 1-year deal, depending on really his number. I don't know how he's not signed yet. I don't know what he's even waiting for. I guess for a specific opportunity where he knows that there's one team that really that he's going to get a starting job. He's waiting to get that starting job. He's not going to be a backup to anybody. So he wants to pick and choose really carefully. So I'm not really, besides Justin Simmons, and like I said, this is all if the Cooper DeJean doesn't go to safety. They don't end up moving him there later on, which I think they will. But why would I think these names are coming out, like Jamal Adams and some of these other guys. I think these names are coming out because the news that comes out on Cooper DeJean is he's going to start on the outside. And then he went on the Kay Adams show and said, oh, I'm going to start at nickel. So everyone's starting to think now that they're going to put him at nickel full time. Well, they have to put him somewhere. They have to start him out somewhere. Okay, rookie camp, they threw him all over the place, okay, because it's rookie camp. You're not in full pads. You're not hitting each other. So there's really no incentive to, like, you could do whatever you want with him to see how athletic he is. And just, they know how athletic he is, but they just want to throw him around. Like that's, the whole team isn't here. You know what I mean? So you're not playing in full pads with a full offense and a full defense going at each other. You know what I mean? So if the Eagles change their mind, Cooper DeJean play another position, then I guess Justin Simmons would be my top guy. Jamal Adams obviously is the cheaper option, but sometimes cheaper's not better. You know what I mean? And he's got like an attitude problem. I don't know. I've never really felt good about Jamal Adams. Like I feel like he's always pissed off about something. He's always, I don't know. That's just me. Just my own personal opinion. I would stay away from this as far as possible when it comes to safety. And yes, the Eagles definitely need another guy in there. So, we'll see what happens in the coming future. But, we'll see. Lastly, the Jason Kelce news that I guess everybody was expecting. It says ESPN officially has signed former Eagles standout Jason Kelce to a multi-year deal. Kelce will join Monday Night Countdown leading into Monday Night Football, then appear again at halftime. He will be part of ESPN ABC's coverage of Super Bowl. Yeah, in Los Angeles in 2027. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So Jason Kelce it's looking like he's gonna be I guess a side reporter for the Monday Night Countdown for Monday Night Football, which is pretty good. And I thought this was interesting because there was a video that came out because the NFL schedule is coming out this week, and it looks like he goes into the room, I guess, where Goodell and the rest of all the NFL executives are actually making these schedules, like the actual room where they're sitting. And I thought that was interesting because Jason Kelce opens the door and, Goodell's like, hey, you can't say we anymore. You're not, you don't play for a team anymore. But he's like, I wish I would be back. Kelce was like, I wish I would come back. I wish I was back. So it just, man, I was like, that really sucks, dude. I mean, that really sucks. Look, it's hard for me to say this because I feel like I'm understanding of Kelce's body's probably not in great shape right now and his age. Okay, so before I say anything else, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're dude. Like, how do you not have respect for?" It's not. It has nothing to do with that. After the way the season ended last year, it must have been so tough for him to retire under those circumstances. Just imagine that. Like, it's not even like. That's not one of the worst. I mean, he literally retired after one of the worst crumbles of this team, probably in his career. Okay, at 10-1, and then fall apart after that. And then, man, I got to retire after this type of season has got to be one of the biggest decisions, and I respect it 100%. if his body was a lot better, he wasn't, because you're strained all year. Every year you do this, your body gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. And unfortunately, he had enough of it, and I respect his decision. And, the only thing that sucks is that, it didn't come off a Super Bowl. It came off a really, really bad ending. And then even still had a playoff game and didn't even pan out from that. So it's unfortunate for Jason Kelce, but happy for him for the job that he did get. He will be around the Eagles this training camp. He will be around like crazy, helping out the guys as much as possible with Jeff Stoutland. So it's going to be nice to see Jason Kelce be with the guys at joint practices, kind of how he took Cam Jurgens and really just put him, in his wing. If you guys remember when Kelce had the orthoscopic surgery in his elbow a couple years ago, remember? And then, he stayed out of the whole training camp when joint practices happened. He was by Jurgens' side at every practice, giving him on what he should do and telling him good job. And, and if he didn't do a good job, he would, kind of show him, what he did wrong. So have to respect Jason Kelce for that. So it was just funny how he went to Goodell's meeting and was like, I wish I was back, I want to be back, it was just, I know he wants to be back. It's just, unfortunately, it's just bad timing, right now. And, yeah, that's pretty much where we're at on that. So I just wanted to talk about that quick because I thought that was kind of interesting going forward. But if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Like the video. It does help out the channel tremendously. Thank you for all the support. If you guys haven't checked out the Philly Shakedown podcast merch, definitely check it out. We have the new Howie Roseman Big Pimpin' shirt. It's going like crazy, so definitely pick up your shirt. All sizes, black, Kelly green, and white. All colors for every bit of merch that is here. Get the Cooper DeJean Flying Frenchman t-shirt. Get some Axeman shirts and hats that are there. And if you want to support the podcast in general, just get a podcast shirt. They are comfortable. They don't get all wrinkly and disgusting, and they don't fade at all. This is pure good design and quality is there. So I want to thank everybody for purchasing merch if you guys have, and some merch is already being delivered as we speak. So thank you so much for all the support on that. Link in the description for all the Philly Shakedown podcast merch. And other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. You guys enjoy the rest of your time, your day. I'm going to stop talking because it's too late. It's late right now. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follows, peace out, guys. Peace.